My name is Aman Singh, and AI is a deep learning community, and we do talks related to deep learning and its related topics like data science. And uh, we want uh, college graduates or other industry professionals to get the industry knowledge specific and the research which is going on in every technology field right now related to deep learning. Therefore, we bring great people to give these talks. And for today, we have Liji Thompson, who is a Valorem employee for modern application development. She is a manager uh, for modern application development, and she has over 10 years of experience. And her team has worked immensely on AI driven chatbots, and so so uh, she will take on. Has done great talks across the globe. Therefore, we are so happy to have Lily Thompson. From now on, ma'am, you can take on.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Aman. And welcome everyone to this session. I appreciate you taking time off your Sunday morning to have joined us for this call. I'm going to start just sharing my screen. So just a second and we can get started. All right. As the screen comes in, there you go. So once again, welcome to the session on knowledge mining with Azure Cognitive Search. I know a couple of us must have worked with Azure Cognitive Search. It's one of Microsoft offerings in this space a couple of years back, but they've continually improved the product and the offering in itself with new updates coming in almost every other year. Very exciting updates as well. So I'm happy to be talking about this topic today. And given that we come from various backgrounds and various different needs, we will start with the fundamentals, with covering the core concepts behind knowledge mining before we look into Azure Cognitive Search and what is the latest happening in this. So there will be a lot of demos, but at least we will start with the concepts in mind. So a little about myself. My name is Liji Thomas. I'm a technical manager with Valorem Reply. We're a digital transformation firm, a consulting-based firm. We're based out of US, and we have an office here in India amongst various offices across the globe. So I work for their India office from Kerala, from Kochi to be specific. So amongst various tags that even Aman had put to me, I would qualify myself as a learner in this space, and I love to learn, and I continue to learn in this space. My major focus areas technically is centered around Azure AI, around conversational AI, cognitive services, cognitive search. So if you're interested in those kinds of, in discussing those kinds of topics, please feel free to connect with me online in LinkedIn or Twitter, or to follow my blog post as well. And I'm passionate about a lot of things, especially about problem solving, about tech for good that involves AI for good, about great teamwork, about collaboration, about the community, about connecting with you all. And I literally live inside books. So that's a little bit about myself. Let's talk about Azure Cognitive Search. So the challenge with search, right? So the multiple data sources, multiple data types, file formats, and the whole world is so messy when it comes to search. If you kind of try to frame the problem statement here, there's this great article from Harvard Business Review. It says they put the stats at this: 60% to 80% of the data that is generated is unstructured. Unstructured means not typically in the form of structured databases or structured data, what we are used to in the form of SQL or that kind. You probably find all of this data that is available in the form of PDFs or texts or images and of that kind. And the challenge is with trying to make sense of this unstructured data. So let's ask ourselves, if we belong to organizations or to businesses, typically these are some of the questions or the challenges that they face. Do your people spend a lot of time just finding information in or finding insights in all these latent documents, in guides, in files, in manuals or reports? Is discoverability of information a challenge? Secondly, is these just dispersed across multiple and disparate data sources. You might have some emails, you have files, you have documents across multiple data sources like SharePoints or even locally on your machine. Some might be on the cloud, some might be in different areas. You know, it is there, it is somewhere out there, but you just don't have it all in one place. And it's of, as we saw, different file formats in different places at different times. And imagine if you have to create a search engine from start. It could be on your website or tied up with any other line of business application. There is a huge developer effort that is involved, that will be required to build this engine right from scratch. And we don't have anything that can help us build a custom search solution as much as the offering that we are going to talk about today. So knowledge mining, we want to define that a bit. Knowledge mining is about finding that real value in all this data. How do you make sense out of all this existing information and use that in a way that will add value and meaning to the organization? It's basically nothing but taking unstructured information and giving it some kind of a structure, because machines love structure. If you give it structured data, if you add structure around your content, machines will be able to extract insights and you will be able to explore that data better. So that is the concept of knowledge mining. Now, Azure Cognitive Search is a huge help in this regard. It is an offering from Microsoft. It is what we call a search as a service. You might have heard of infrastructure as a service or platform as a service. It's basically a platform as a service, but we also better call it as a search as a service. So it's a cloud search service. What it does is it gives developers, the community like you and me, it gives us the APIs, the architecture, the tools, basically the platform that we will need to build a rich search experience, which means that you want type ahead, you want autofill, you want fuzzy search, you want whatever you would expect of a rich search engine is possible using Azure Cognitive Search. And most of all, it has support for heterogeneous content, which means the same problems that we discussed thus far, your data may be dispersed across the web, the mobile, the enterprise applications, online, offline. It doesn't matter. Azure Cognitive Search will be able to bring it all together for you. So, before we go deep into that, some of the questions that we often ask ourselves that I get to hear is, so what about the other solutions? There seems to be a lot of other search solutions doing the round. For example, Microsoft themselves have a couple of search solutions. If you are familiar with this, please, I invite your attention to this. So Microsoft Search. Search is another search solution that is available from the same organization. But with M365 Search or Microsoft Search, essentially you will be able to search only within the content in your M365 account, which means that you need to be authenticated as an M365 user, and thereafter you can search for content within your space. That is what is possible using Microsoft Search. Now, Bing Search, as you would probably be aware of, this is searching over Bing.com. So that is, it searches public sites, and whatever the Bing.com indexer or crawler has been able to search through, that is the scope of the Bing search. That said, I would also add Bing is very interesting in our topic because there has been a lot of collaboration between the Bing team and the Azure Cognitive Search team to bring this offering into light. So whatever you are seeing in Bing.com today, if you want to do such sophisticated and such powerful searches, but on your data, you would probably be able to do it using Azure Cognitive Search. And then you have DBMS search. So you might also ask, but I already have my data inside SQL DB, inside Cosmos DB, and my document DB, and I have a good search explorer inside that. Why would I want to do that? Great. So that is again a built-in search experience that is available for that database platform. But when we again talk about multiple data sources and disparate data sources, we want something that is far more powerful. So going ahead, so what do you get from Azure Cognitive Search? you get everything that you literally want from a search engine, right? You're able to query the language, you're able to do autocomplete, the synonyms, geo search, and it just gets more powerful year after year. And of course, you have the power of Azure. What that means is that you have the power of world class infrastructure, reliability, and scalability for your search queries. Performance would not be an issue there. You have private link integration, you have linguistic analysis, which means whatever we are doing today in English, should probably be able to do it across 50 plus languages as well. So, taking one more step back, let's look at the architecture here. Typically, any search engine, not just for Azure Cognitive Search, any search engine sits in between your data and your applications. So, on one side, you have your data, on the other side, you have your application, and your search engine is an engine that sits right in the center, right? So, same thing for the Azure Cognitive Search as well. This search service architecture is in such a way that you have your data on one side. Again, that could be your cloud data, your on-prem data, and you have your applications, your business applications, your websites, your mobile applications, maybe your chatbot applications on the other side. Your Azure Cognitive Search engine sits in between the two, and it contains at a very high level two major components. One is an indexing engine, the other is a querying engine. So what it does is the data that comes in through your on-prem or your cloud is basically indexed first. So that index, to be able to do that indexing, is why we need an indexing engine. And we will go into the details of what an index is and what an indexer is and what is this indexing. But just stay on for some time. And once it's indexed, then what the search engine does is that it makes available to you what is called an index. And thereafter, you will be able to query that data using the applications, whichever front end that you want to do. So this is at a very, very high level, at a 10,000 foot overview. Now, let's deep dive one more level. So as we said, we have data now across, right? But what we are asked to do is bring your data from any source. It could be cloud, it could be on-prem. Again, amongst that itself, it could be your structured data, your unstructured data. So structured data is in, it could be Cosmos DB or SQL DB. You could also bring in unstructured data. It could be audio, video, your images. All that goes in through a process that is called data ingestion. So data ingestion is nothing but taking or the input of all your data. Once the data ingestion happens, it creates what is called a search index. So this is where we talked about adding structure to your content. So all the data, irrespective of what that format was, it is now provided in the form of a search index. So consider it as some kind of a table format. So thereafter, you can query or you can explore that search index. So it is important to create that search index for the machine to be able to explore that. But in Azure Cognitive Search, there is an extra element, that is the Azure Cognitive Search. The cognitive part of the search is where they have married this entire architecture with cognitive services. So for those of us who are new to the cognitive services, let me take a minute to explain that. Cognitive services is a set of APIs and SDKs that is available from Microsoft. It is a set of very powerful algorithms that can be invoked by any developer by just calling a few APIs. It is as simple as that. You need to have literally zero data science and zero machine learning expertise. It is a black box where you can actually invoke those APIs in your applications if you want capabilities for vision, for speech, for language. So that is what cognitive services is. So that's a different offering altogether. But inside Azure Search, so initially, when this was released about a couple of years back, it was only called Azure Search. Then they added these cognitive capabilities also to it, which is why we now refer it to as Azure Cognitive Search. So the cognitive part of the search is where you can add these cognitive services, which means before you look into your data for insights, we've created the index, the data is there. You can enrich your data by using these cognitive services. What that means is you can add custom vision capabilities, you can add language capabilities and text capabilities to your data, and you can see it in a way that cannot be seen otherwise, that you could not have seen it otherwise. We'll see examples of all of this, but just at a very high level right now. So here's the technical bit to it. So the basically three phases, right? So first part we saw is the ingestion, where you bring in all your data, and then it goes through a process that's called document cracking. Don't worry about that. Document cracking is nothing but you literally, if you're like me and if you like nuts, especially pistachio nuts, you'll find that it's quite difficult to break open the nuts. So what we do, especially my children at home, they take whatever tool that they get and then try to really crack open those nuts. And it's not very different from this. So documents, especially consider a PDF, right? If you crack open that document, essentially you will get to see not just text, you will see images, videos, and of the like. So that's literally what document cracking is. You crack open the document, and then on top of that, as we just discussed, we will add skills. Consider skills to be AI algorithms, the cognitive services that we were talking about. And these skills are available for Microsoft. That said, you can even create your own custom skill if required for your specific problem statement or for your specific business case. We can that is also a possibility. So you crack open your document, you add all these cognitive skills, and that's when you get an enriched set of documents. Now you can explore the contents of that document, and that will be made available using your search query. So this is at a very high level, what's happening at an architecture level. So before we just jump into the demo, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start creating a search service. We will create a search index, and then we will query the index. I also want to add that this, whatever we're going to do today, we're going to keep it just related to the search portal, the Azure search portal. That said, all of this is possible also programmatically. You can push these documents to the search index. You can query the search index because there's the very powerful SDKs and REST APIs that are available from the Azure Search team. So it is possible using that. We will just be looking at the search portal experience this time and probably use that for a follow-up session next time. All right, so let's take a look at the demo here. And I will just switch to my portal, and there you go. All right, so I'm inside my Azure portal. If you have a subscription, you can try this today, or you can even create a free subscription to try out what we are doing today. So this is my Azure portal, and I would just go by just creating a resource. And when you create a resource, you can try just hitting search. You just search, and you will see a lot of offerings. And I'm looking for Azure Cognitive Search, and let's see if that comes. Sometimes my portal is a little slow, and there you go. So that is my Azure Cognitive Search. So this is the resource that I need to. So I have to just hit create, and it will just ask me for my subscription, my resource group, the name of my search service, and that's basically it. So just to save ourselves some time, I have this service that is created, and this is what it looks like. Right? So what I created was a real estate search service, and you'll know why in a minute. And this is what I get. So I just want to call some of these things out here. You can add an index, you can search Explorer, you can import data, you can do a lot of stuff. We will go through all of this. The first thing I'd be interested in doing is to import data. As you can see, I already have an index that is created, but let me show you how I actually created that. So when I go to import data, that's probably the first thing I have to do, right? I need to get my data into my Azure search engine. So this is what I need to do. Now I ask it to import data. It gives me a variety of options here. So the data source can be, as you can see, a lot of data sources here, right? It can even come from your virtual machines, your SQL DB, Cosmos DB, blob storage, table storage, so on and so forth. And if I were to select any of this, all that it would ask me was, for example, if it is an SQL DB or if it's a blob storage, it will ask me to name my resource. It will also ask me for connection string. So I just need to connect it to where my existing source is. So assuming I have an already existing SQL DB or an already existing Cosmos DB or blob storage, I can simply connect it to those data sources and get started with my search engine. One of the simplest things to do if you are not interested in any of that is to go to the sample section. So in the sample section, you will see that Microsoft has already made available for you two sample data sets. So one data set is the real estate sample. The other data set is a hotel sample. So I'm starting with the real estate sample here, and that is how I have this created, right? Okay, so I just click that, and this is how it is being created. So let me look at my sample here, and or maybe just go back a second and just show you throughout that thing, because I wanted to show you something else as well. So I will try importing another sample, the hotel sample here, and just show you how this is going to work. There are a couple of steps involved in that. So once I ask it to start ingesting the data, bring the data into Azure Cognitive Search, the next step is an optional step. But this is the powerful part that we were talking about, the ability to add cognitive skills to the document that will be cracked, right? So let's take a look at this. If you need to add cognitive skills, you need to have a cognitive service that is created, or you can use some of the free enrichments as well. So if I have to just show you through this, it will show you some of the free skills that are available. You can check all of this if you are interested in just trying out how this looks like. You especially if this is coming from an unstructured database. We've chosen a structured database right now, so that's okay. If it's coming from an unstructured database, you might want to extract people names, organization, location, or all those kinds of things are possible using this. Also, whatever we are ingesting is right now per our flow being just kept as part of the search indexer. If you want, you can store this futuristically into a knowledge store. So saving enrichments to a knowledge store, for example, you want to par this to a Power BI report tomorrow. So all that is also possible using this structure. So for now, I will just skip all of this, and I just wanted to show you that this was capable while you were creating your indexes. So here I have created an index in that manner. I did not add any cognitive skill this time. I created a plain index using the sample data set that was available, and this is what I get. So off the bat, I can just search. You use the same OData syntax, and you will see that if I just search for star, I will get to see all the data that is available in this data set. And you'll get to see that there's a listing ID, beds, bath, because this is a real estate sample. You get to see description, square feet, days on market, the status, etc., so on and so forth. There's so much data that is available for this. And if you have a custom data that is available for yourself, you can import that in the same manner, and you can search using this explorer. You will also see that for each entry, you get something called a search score. A search score is used to indicate the relevance of the search result. So it gives you a little more confidence on how relevant that return result is. And as you can see from the examples here, you can extract the top, the skip, the search. You can even filter. For example, here I have search results which returns the number of beds and the number of baths. And I am interested in only those search results where the beds equal 3. Let me see if I have any where beds equal 3 or beds greater than 3, let's say. Yeah, so there you go. So there's an entire document on the OData syntax where you can try out all of this. So that's basically the idea behind this. And also in the next section, you will get to see fields, and the fields you will see how big this data set really is. So because we have just ingested a real estate sample, you will get to see all of these fields. But what you can essentially do in this section is you can choose which of these fields you want to be retrievable, which of these fields you want to filter, which should be sortable, facetable, and searchable. So I don't at this point in time, I'm not probably interested in a German or a French translation of my description, and so I have chosen to keep that out of my search results. So you can pick and choose which of these you want under each of these categories. And if I have to just show you the index definition that was created, this is the entire JSON file. So this was what was created, or the structure that was added, if you're curious about that. So this is all great, but it's within the search portal. But as we discussed, this can be taken out of the search portal as well, because at the end of the day, you can really build, you can really call these APIs, and you can include this as part of your line of business LOB applications, as part of your mobile applications, etc. So just to show you a quick way of how to actually, not for your production scenario, but here's an option that is available. I just click the create demo app option there, and I can select. So this is just an easy mechanism to get started on, just seeing the UI outside the search portal, to just see how this thing is going to look like. So what do I want inside my? I will keep my description, and I look at next. So I'm just building a quick UI around my search results. And it looks like I will have a couple of fields on my sidebar, which is great, and suggestions. So if you want to see what are those things that you want to populate as part of your auto suggestions, I will just keep it to listing ID and beds for now. Hit the create demo app. It says for demonstration purposes, do not use in production environment. It just gives you a single HTML page that you can quickly see how this thing will work, or how this thing will look if you were to integrate it as part of your application tomorrow. Right, so I just hit the star to just see all the results, and this is what is built. Great. So I have about 49 for over roughly around 5,000 results there. But as you can see on my search bar on the left, I will probably be interested in a house, and I want it in the Seattle area, and in a specific region, and I can filter it, I can search for it. And let's see, so I want some, so this is a tenant house and it's brand new. Let's see if I can actually search for brand new. And I see there are a couple of auto suggestions. It says that this listing ID, this has got brand new. So this, and you'll see the search results which include that. So you kind of get the idea of, how you can build a powerful search engine as this in just a matter of a couple of minutes right now that it took for us. And if we were to do this from scratch, I mean, that would have been hours of days, perhaps. So going back to our deck here for a second, and what we looked at right now was just structured content. We saw the capability. The hotel sample and the real estate sample was across SQL DB and a Cosmos DB. But really the power inside this is being able to get data out of unstructured content, right? So imagine you have content around PDFs, documents, images, PowerPoints, HTML. You should be able to extract, crack that document and take the text, the images, and metadata out of that. So that is where you're adding AI. So the enrichment part of AI is the X factor here. You should be able to extract people, organizations, locations, key phrases, etc. from your document. And to that point, even on images, you can do that by using OCR technology. So again, all this is by simply calling the Azure Cognitive Services, which is a part of the cognitive search, and you will be able to build powerful applications just left to your creativity on how you want to use these cases. So I'll show you a quick demo for that. But before that, let me run you through what my problem statement was. So I've been doing speaking sessions for a while right now, and I have all these beautiful speaker cards that are created by my fabulous organizers and my hosts for the session. And just keeping track of all these speaking engagements across this is a huge challenge for me, especially when you do it globally. You'll have different texts, different languages, a lot of different details inside that. Very important and relevant and valuable information for me, but I just wish I had a way in which a search engine could literally search through these set of images. I do not want to spend time taking all of this and then putting it into a structured database and then telling it what the title is, what the description is, etc., etc. I wanted to just look through these speaker cards of mine, and I wanted to come back and tell me, which was at which organizations did I present, what was my topic of presentation, what did I talk about, etc., etc. So, and I wish to host this on my website someday, so that it gives me a lot more time to do the speaking itself. So what I did is I hosted all these speaker cards that you can see. I hosted it inside a folder. I put it into a folder and I uploaded it into my Azure blob storage. So I created a blob storage inside Teams. I can go there. And so if you are not familiar with that, how you would do that is you would go to portal.azure.com, and on the left pane, you see here storage accounts. If you go to storage accounts, you can actually create a blob, you can create a container, and you can upload files or folders into that. So that's where your blob is now ready. And if you remember our previous conversation, when you create an index and you can import data, it gives you an option to import from an Azure blob. So when you import from an Azure blob, just provide a connection to one of your existing blobs. And I provided a connection to that blob, that container that I just created. And this is what I got. So I just wanted to run you through this one. So this is my index created in that same way. And when I created this one, if you remember, again, a couple of minutes back, we did see the ability to add cognitive services. So I checked all those boxes there in adding all those cognitive skills. And if you can see right now, I can search the images that were there. And because of the OCR capabilities, OCR is optical character recognition, it can read the text on those images as well. And this is, just great. So it is even extracting content or extracting the text and the metadata from just those images that I have fed it. And let's see if, I can, I have my bit here, and I can just try creating a demo app here, and let's see if that works. So it's always good to see this in a UI, right? So the first thing I want to see is what locations I have done it at, and maybe the content. Let's see, and I will download it, and let's see. And this is with just absolutely no piece of code. And I can see that I've done it at Belgrade, at Madrid, at IST, Kerala, etc. And I can even do that a little better, I feel. Let's try this once more. I can create a demo app for my Azure blob, and I will try putting organizations this time. And put locations, key phrases, language translator. So I can even put my key phrases, and I will just create demo app. So you get the idea that you can actually get to explore the content inside that in such a nice way. So I've done for NASCOM, for Azure, for my PMP, for a lot of areas. Let's see if I have something for Belgrade. Did I do one for Belgrade or for Serbia? And I did. So I have, what I'm showing on screen is just the key phrases that were extracted. You can extract any amount of information that you want from your content, and use this to build really powerful use cases, whatever is very personal to you or for your business or for your organization. So that's about adding AI enrichments. Now, a really powerful case study, if you've seen this before, hold on to this for 2 minutes as I show this to the rest of the crowd as well. This is a case study that was done by Microsoft initially when they had released the Azure Cognitive Search itself. So in 2017, the US government had released about 34,000 documents related to the John F. Kennedy assassination. It's called the JFK files. So this is out there in public repo. What Microsoft did is it took those JFK files, and what would have taken otherwise researchers months to go through this in a manual way, they ingested all this content into Azure Cognitive Search. I want to show you what the results look like. So this again is available in the public site. So you can go to gfkdemoazurewebsites.net, and this is the site. So if you want to play with this today, it is still possible. So let's search for Oswald. Oswald is the person who was convicted for the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And if I search for that, it's taking a while to load that, which is why the blurred it. But you can actually see that the content comes from a lot of unstructured data. You will see handwritten text, you will see images, you will see a lot of typed, printed text, all wherein even highlighting of content has actually been done. So I'm searching for Oswald, and you will see Oswald being highlighted. Highlighting is a feature that even you and I can do for our search capabilities. So if you are interested in seeing, how the CIA is connected to that, and so on and so forth, an interesting part of their use case or their case study here is, this linking entities here. You can see how Oswald is connected to a lot of other people. So if you want to see Sylvia Duran, or you want to see who is Duran, and then come back and you'll see Duran also highlighted in the same document as Oswald is, and you'll be able to put on your Sherlock Holmes hat and find insights, explore deep insights, even from your data. So this isn't really about JFK files. It's about giving you ideas on how you can do the same thing with data, with documents inside your organization, or on content that is personal to you as well. You'd be able to save yourself a lot of time, energy, and effort in working with the platform and the infrastructure that is available to you. The only part you need to worry about is your specific business logic in getting this across the shore. So I hope that got you inspired and gave you some ideas. And moving on, so this is, but apart from with the demos that I showed, which is literally just scratching on the surface, the JFK files have got a very high, much sophisticated architecture. You can say it came from structured blobs and unstructured data. There was document, images, a whole lot of cognitive search skills that were applied. There was OCR, handwriting, computer vision, all that was involved. They even created their own custom skills for this matter. There were some CIA acronyms, etc. that was there. So a lot of custom skills that were also in play. Finally, they created the structured knowledge, or the index as you call, and that's where it is available for our exploration or our insights, as we just saw right now. So that's the JFK cognitive service architecture. So here's the full picture right now from what we have been discussing for the last 40 minutes. We bring in the source data from one side, structured or unstructured, right? And then we crack that document open. We add skill sets, we add skills to it, we enrich those documents, and those enriched documents can be available as a search index. You can go and start exploring. You can also put it into a knowledge store, wherein tomorrow you can use that for advanced analytics, for machine. You can run your ML models on that. You do human validation and whatnot. So this is the entire possibilities using the Azure Cognitive Search. So here's the full list of capabilities. You have a very powerful search engine. You get rich indexing and AI enrichment, as we saw that. We saw rich querying capabilities as well. Translation is also possible. Type ahead features are possible. Synonyms are all possible. You can use programmability, because the same what we did right now, you can invoke it using REST APIs, using Azure.NET SDKs. And most interestingly, this is the latest update from Build 2021 on semantic search capabilities. So semantic search really takes the game one step ahead in terms of search. Typically, when we talk about search, and even we ourselves, when we do search, the most frustrating part is when you you feed it a keyword, and you expect it to come back with a more contextual or a relevant search, and it comes back with a search that is all over the place, right? And that is because traditionally the search algorithms are wired in the form of a keyword search. It just goes and searches it keyword by keyword, which in itself was helpful to a lot of that. But really, semantic search capabilities would change the game altogether here. So I cannot demo the semantic search capabilities because it's in preview stage and I'm still awaiting access to that. But I can show you a small gist from one of the Microsoft videos that they had shared. It really captures the essence of what this capability is. So if you were to go and just search what's the capital of France, in a typical world, on keyword search, what it would return is those set of results. It would come back with capital punishment in France, capital gains in France, capital of Kazakhstan, and so on and so forth, right? It's just looking for a keyword search, keywords meaning capital or France. And it's just looking for a combination of that. Whether it makes sense, whether it is adding context or relevance is a different conversation altogether. Enter semantic search, the new kid on the block, you get more relevant results, more semantic results, more meaningful results. Now, the same sentence, what is the capital of France, in a semantic search world, these are the results you will get. And this is by turning on a couple of features. You turn on not just semantic search, semantic answers, semantic topics. You'll also see briefs of that description there. So you'll see exactly relevant answers, all of which is talking about the capital of France in itself. And you'll see a brief about that for the search results as well. So this is the capabilities of semantic search, which just improves its cognitive search capabilities once more. So coming to the end of this entire session, I would say that Azure Cognitive Search is, probably the only cloud search service that is out there with built-in AI enrichment capabilities. And that is the standout or the differentiation factor for Azure Cognitive Search. And though we have a lot of search engines and a lot of search capabilities out there, the ability to enrich and to derive insights out of that, especially using now semantic search as well, is a huge boon to anyone who would want to create a world-class search engine on your sites. So if you are interested, I can just point you to one singular resource, which is ak.ms Cognitive Search, and that would open up this world of Azure Cognitive Search for you. And there's a lot of material out there for you to start reading and start getting all this content. Most importantly, it's very easy to get started on this here with just basic documentation. All right, with that, I will wrap up the session. Thank you for your time and for your attention. And please feel free to ask your questions in the comments section, and I'll be happy to take those questions as well. Or feel free to connect with me online where we can discuss this in detail. Over to you,
Ma'am,
Aman.
there are some questions, and I'll show
Yes.
it on the screen.
Yes.
Uh, Ma'am, can you see?
Cognitive search, is it similar to elastic search? Yes. So there are a lot of comparisons between that. But just like when we started in the beginning, there are various search capabilities, even database platform capabilities. Even within Azure SQL, you have a search capability, like you have elastic search. But the differentiating factor, as we said, for cognitive search, it's not exactly the same as Elasticsearch. There's a lot more that is available with cognitive search, especially around the AI enrichment capabilities.
And
Yes,
ma'am,
Aman.
second question. Yes.
On which basis index is created? Is it distinct word or parameter? So that's a good question. There is if I have to put this very simply, the Bing search team has a lot of play into what has gone into the creation of this. So there's actually a lot of algorithms, very powerful algorithms that are working behind how the index is created. And there is a lot of material on the scoring profiles and how the similarities are created, how the search scores, as we discussed, were created, and how the relevance of those terms are actually being added. So it is not really a single shot as a distinct word or a parameter. There are far more advanced algorithms. Even on the semantic search, for example, just to give you a little context to that, when we did the demo, you must have observed that when we created the index, and we still got about 5,000 plus results on that, and there is a possibility of taking the top 10 or the top 100. Semantic search goes beyond that, and it what how it arrives at that semantic search capability is, it takes only the top 50 and it applies again semantic search algorithms to that. So there is a research paper which gives you details on those exact algorithms that Microsoft has used for creating the semantic search capabilities, and you can take a look at that. So there are very powerful parameters behind creating the index and each of these search capabilities.
Yeah, ma'am. It was the last question, ma'am. And thank you everyone for
All right.
attending. And
Okay.
thank you, ma'am. It was pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Aman, and thank you all for joining the session as well. Uh, Please stay connected, and I'm happy to take questions offline as well. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.